Today we're going to be taking a look at 4 different types of motion graphics text animation styles to help you with your next project. Hi, and welcome back to Animation Deconstructed. My name is Shul Gonsalves, and on this channel we're all about helping you become a better animator. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you know when I post a new video. We're going to jump straight into After Effects, and with this first text animation, it is the flicker text, so let's dive straight in. I'm going to create some text over here. Let's just say flicker, all caps. Just going to zoom out here for a little and drop this down. Now this animation style is pretty easy once you know where to look, but if you don't know where to look, it can be a bit confusing. So when you drop this down, you can see this little animate button, and we're going to click that and add an opacity animator to this. I'm also going to press Shift S for scale, or we can just drop that down. I'm going to turn on my scale. My composition is 3 seconds long. You can also download this file from the blog. There'll be a link in the description so that you can get hold of this file and take a look at all the settings just to follow along. I'm going to take this to about 91%, so we're just scaling over time, and then we can twirl that up. First thing I want to do is I want to play with this opacity, so I'm going to take this down. I don't want it to disappear completely, so let's say about 25%, and all the magic happens in this range selector drop down. Let me just pull this up so we can see it better. The end position, I'm going to drag this in, and you can see what this is doing. Problem with this is it's working on percentages, so if we drop down the advanced drop down, we can change this percentage to use the index, and it's going to base this on characters. So now we can select just 2 characters, and the way we're going to make this randomize the selection is just by going to the randomize order, turn that on, and if we drag this forward, you'll see there's no animation. So the last thing we need to do is actually play with the random seed. I'm going to turn that on, and what I want to do is just move to about 1 second and 10 frames. Let's drag this up. I'm going to say 7. Let's see what this looks like. That looks good to me. And I just want to fade the text in as well, so I'm going to start just before it gets to the end there. Really good animation practice is to actually overlap your keyframes so that you never get this kind of stagnated animation happening. So turn on the offset, and this is going to basically control the range selector. Move over to about, let's say about here, and just drag this forward. And there's 7 letters, so if I'm correct, yes, 7 letters. We just need to hit 7 in the offset. I'm just going to press U on that so that we only see our keyframes, and I'm going to select this over here, ease that, and I'm going to ease this over here. Let's just pull this back a little, pull that over. And the last thing I did in my video was I just turned the opacity down completely, about 10 frames forward. And there we have it. The next one we're going to be taking a look at is a tracking animation for this video right over here. And what I've got is just some footage And the way we're going to do this is we are going to go to the animation drop down we're going to track the camera, and this will take a little while, but the clip is only 5 seconds, so it shouldn't be too long. I'll fast forward the video and see you back here. Okay, so that's done now, and what you'll see is that there's an effect added to your footage, and it's called 3D camera tracker. We zoom in here, we can see a whole bunch of points in this composition now, and what we can do is we can actually add some text to these points. So I'm going to choose this one here, just right click and go create text and camera, and it's going to add a camera to our composition. I'm also just going to change the alignment of this text to left aligned, and let's take down the size of this to about 105 for now. I'm going to type in enjoy, and then we can actually add a few more. Now if you go back to your footage and you don't see the little tracking points, just select the effect and they will come up again. So I'm going to add another one over here, create text, and another one. If we scrub a bit forward, you can see this one right at the back here. I'm going to add one there. So let's just edit this type, enjoy your, and journey. Now the great thing about this is that if you press R, you can actually rotate these to be at any angle that you want if you're not happy with the angle. So I'm just going to rotate these a bit to the right to get more of an angle on that. And the last thing I want to do is actually make it pop out the ground. Now this one, there's many ways to do it, but I like to actually create a plane that is attached to the video. So going back to the camera tracker, I'm going to find one of these that is sort of sitting on the plane, and I think this one's good. So I'm going to right click and create a solid. And with that solid, I'm going to press scale, and I'm going to scale this right up. Now what you can see, if I actually select this text and we push it down, it is going to be inside that ground. So the way I do this is I go back to my actual tracking composition, I duplicate it, I go in there, and then I'm just going to solo these layers, and then position keyframe, move forward, say about 10 keyframes, 10 frames, and then go back to the beginning, and we're just going to drop these down into the ground. Select all of them and press F9. Going to change the color of this layer to black. I'm going to go back into my original document, and now we can hide all of these. Drop our new composition on top, and then just change this to add, so only the white text actually comes out. What we could do as well is just offset these slightly so that we get this kind of thing over here. Number 3 on the list is this motion graphic kind of text animation with lines and everything. And maybe you've heard in the past people joke about text coming out of a line, and a lot of the clients want this. It's a bit funny, but this is more the kind of thing that the clients are actually looking for, and not just a simple line going to the middle of the screen and some text magically appearing out of this. So it's actually getting creative with how you work with your logo type for this instance or something else. So let's take a look at how we can create this and how I go about creating this. First of all, I'm going to create some text. So let's just do it in capitals. Motion, let's change it to center aligned. Press enter. And I want two different text layers, so I'm going to press duplicate, drop this down, double click, and say magic. And I'm just going to change my kerning. That should be good. Let's just zoom in and drop this down a bit more. And when you're working with these, what you want to do is you want to start with the end in mind. So I have that kind of block around this at the end. So we're going to create a new square shape or a rectangle. I'm going to take the fill out of this. I'm going to add a stroke. And let's just scale this down until we're happy with it. So something like this. And we'll move our text into position once again. Let's make this stroke about 28 pixels and then just move this text up. That should be good. Now in the example, I have a line coming down this side and a line going up that way. So it's basically what you want to do is overlap animations of lines and text movements at the same time to get this kind of motion graphic feel. And now that we've got our rectangle drawn, we can actually just draw our lines in the same place. So thinking about the way we want to see this draw on, I'm going to start here and I'm going to draw on down to there. I'm going to deselect and I just need to change this down to about 10 points and then draw the other one on, which is going to be the other way around. Then we can hide, or let's first rename our layers. So rectangle, the bottom one, left line, and then right line. Can hide our rectangle for now. And the last thing we need to do is actually create a mask which will affect the text. So the way I do this is I create a solid. Let's make this comp size and let's just name this mask. Then I'm actually going to double click to add a mask to that layer. Hover over the edges so that you can double click and get the handles, and we'll move this mask down. Just position it between the two text layers, right in the middle there. Can drop this down to the bottom. We don't actually have to see it, so we can turn it off. And what we want to do is select the text motion, go into effects and presets, type in set matte, and we're going to add that to the text. It's going to select the alpha channel of the layer that we just created. So we're going to select number 7 mask, and then we're going to copy this and paste it to the layer magic. Something that we need to do as well is just tell it to use the masks as well of that layer, and then just invert the one on the top, the motion. Now we can press P for position, turn on our keyframes and move forward about 20 frames and add some keyframes there. And then what we can do is actually move this up. So I'm going to use Shift and the arrow keys just so that I'm getting the same amount of movements on both. Going to press F9, and then I'm going to go into the graph editor. What you want to make sure that you're doing is that you're in the edit speed graph. And with these two positions selected, select that first one, and we're going to drag this forward a bit. And we'll get quite a nice motion there. We're going to do the same to the lines, so I'm going to go to the left line first, and I'm going to drop down until we get to our shape and our paths, and I want to add a trim paths to this. Can go out of the graph editor. Now when we drop down our trim paths, we can actually just bring this end to 0, turn on the keyframe, move to about, let's say 15, go to 100, move to about frame 10, turn on our start and go to 20 and go to 100. And then I'm going to press F9. I'm going to select these two and go into the graph editor and do what we did with the text and just drag this forward a bit. I'm happy with that. And what we can do with this is we can actually just select the start and end and paste it on the right line. And we'll have that motion right over there. The next thing I want to do is add the rectangle. So the way we're going to do this is actually press U twice and we should be able to see our stroke width pop up. So this should hold for just a second. So I'm going to turn that on, go to about 105, add another keyframe, go back and take this down to 0. Now I had a bit of a scale happening here as well, so the way we're going to control all the layers together, we're going to right click, create a null object, and we are going to parent the text and the rectangle to the null object. Press U on the rectangle so we can see our keyframes. Press S on the null so that we can add a keyframe. It's 100%, and at 105 we're going to say 90%. Press F9, go into the graph editor once more, and we're going to do the same thing that we've done before, so that we have that same kind of motion happening right throughout our animation. If you're finding this helpful, hit that like button. We've got one more to go, and this one should be quick. So I've seen this in transition animations with footage and with pictures, and I've also seen it happening with text, so I wanted to just touch on this one very quickly. Let's just add some text, and I'm going to call it bend. I'm going to take this right up, let's say about 150, maybe even bigger, but I also want to take the kerning off. I'm just going to zoom in here. Let's take this up a bit, right over there. Now something we need to do with this one that we haven't done with the other text is we want to change our pivot point. Easy way to do that is go to Layer, Transform, Center Anchor Point in Layer Content. Now we can go to Align and just align this to the center of the composition. Next thing I want to do is just add a very quick scale on this into place. So pressing S, we can move forward, let's say about 12 frames. I'm going to turn on my keyframes, go back to the first frame and scale this really high. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to make this a round number 700. I'm going to select both of them, press F9. Also just want to fade it in. So Shift T to add opacity to our timeline. Drag this forward to about 3 frames, should be good enough. Just easy ease this as well. That should be fine. Now the way that they are warping this so you're getting that kind of fisheye lens is it's just an effect over here. Let's go here and say bulge. Add this to our text. And then what you want to do is for this exact one, just make it sort of round and as big as your comp. Last thing is we are going to play with this bulge height, and we're actually going to go into the minus values, -1. And if we just play this, we'll see there's something funny happening with the clipping. So you want to pin all the edges. And as I say, you can use this for footage transitions as well. It's pretty in at the moment. If you haven't seen the last video, it is something that I've seen trending at the moment on Instagram. These sort of colorful motion blurs, and somebody's created a plugin for it. I teach you how to do it within 3 minutes. I really don't think you need to be spending money on something that is really easy to do. Anyway, that's it from me. Until next time.